Hi, so you've probably heard of hypermileing, and I'm just gonna try to share like 10 little tricks here that help you to hypermile if you ever need to. Now, if you do like I said and get a car that has range appropriate to your needs, then it's not really necessary. Like, I don't do a lot of the things in this video most of the time. I just relax and enjoy the car and enjoy the ride. But if you accidentally misplanned or a charge you were planning on using was occupied or something, then these are some little tricks to help you get more range out of your car. Now, the first one is to slow down. So basically, if it didn't put too much more mileage, like if you had the choice between two routes of similar length and one was like put you through a bunch of slower zones like 30, 35, and the other one was like highway and it was like 55 or faster, then one of the things you could do is take the slower route. So slowing down pretty much always gives you better range. The next one is to accelerate slowly. So the trick to this is to be very attentive to your surroundings. So like if you're at a stoplight, you pay attention, so the second it turns green, you can be quick and go, and that way you can accelerate slow without holding back traffic and being a jerk, because you don't want to make everybody else's driving experience miserable because you're trying to hypermile. But if you're quick off the line, most of the time you leave everyone pretty far behind you, and since your car has instant torque, even though you're being gentle and not really pushing it much, you still accelerate quick enough that you're pulling away from them at the beginning. So you just accelerate slower, and that'll help you to get more range. The next one is the exact opposite. It's the same concept as I was talking about paying attention to the light and stuff. Well, you pay attention to what's going on ahead of you, so that instead of stopping real fast and using your brakes, you can allow your regenerative braking to slow your car down as much as possible. So that's a fun thing to do anyway, to let your brakes last longer and get more regen and stuff, but it's especially important when you're trying to hypermile. So just pay attention to what's going on ahead of you so that you can use the regenerative braking of your car to slow down and put more energy onto the battery instead of just stop and go really quick. The third one is to keep your windows shut, because most of these electric cars are designed in such a way to be really aerodynamics, to go through the wind really efficiently, go through the air resistance really efficiently. So when you have a window open, all of a sudden there's like more drag and it's catching more. So that will, I don't know how much of a difference it'll make. These probably are all small things, but each one of these little things adds up and will help you squeeze a little bit more range out of your car. So keep the windows shut. And then another one is to use the climate control as little as possible. Again, I think this is probably a small difference. I think if it's like really hot or really cold and like you're doing something that's like more than a 20-degree difference, then maybe it makes a bigger impact. But if it's a small difference, it probably doesn't matter. But like, if it's like hot outside, keep the air conditioner turned up to the highest temperature you can handle. Like, make it more comfortable than outside, but don't make it like really cold, like 72 or something. Maybe set it to like 78 or something. It will help a little bit. And if it's like really, really cold, instead of having the car nice and warm, maybe just have it into the high 60s or something. I don't know. These are little things that could help. These are things that I personally never do because it's so mild and nice on Maui, but they're things I know would make a difference. And then like no radio or navigation, or like the fewer things you can have turned on, the better. I don't think they draw very much power. In fact, a lot of these might be off the little 12 volts you have in the car, and so this might not even apply in some circumstances, but in other circumstances I think it does. So it's just something you can do, like just turn everything off that isn't necessary at the time when you're trying to extend the range. And then all cars have different kinds of things. Like this little Leaf, it has eco mode, and then like some cars have different levels of regenerative braking and stuff. Well, if you're trying to get the most range out of your car, you want to be in the equivalent of eco mode or have your regenerative braking turned high or anything, because that's going to put the maximum amount of range onto your battery. And I used to think if I would just be in regular drive when I was going fast, that'd be better, because I always felt like the regenerative braking was kind of putting some drag on and forcing your car. But after experimenting, even when you're going quicker and it feels like you're dragging against your regenerative braking, it's still like it's collecting that heat and putting it onto your battery more efficiently, and you still get better range. So if you're trying to get the most out of your car, always go for that highest regen setting. And then of course, here's another example that I haven't ever personally applied because I live on a little island and I'm not on big highways. But if you're on a place where there are fast highways and you're going a long ways, one of the big keys to increasing your range is to draft behind big semis, because they'll cut the resistance of the air a whole bunch. It's like they just knock it out in front of you. And you don't want to be like dangerous and get into their blind spot, but if you could get as close as you can without being dangerously close, that will help your range to increase. Saw them do that on like Tesla and a couple other videos. And then the other one is to try not to break your momentum. This will go again to what I was saying earlier, where you're trying to pay attention to the road ahead of you. So just watch what's going on and try to like slow down a little bit and speed up a little bit, and just do everything you can to like time the lights and time the cross traffic and everything, so that you can stop and go as infrequently as possible and stop and go as slowly as possible. Like nice, slow, smooth stops and nice, slow, smooth accelerations. And if you just kind of keep the momentum instead of like jerky stop and go, that's really going to help. And so if by paying attention you can make it so that you don't have to stop, like you time the lights and stuff and don't have to stop, that'll greatly increase your range, because that stop and go really kind of kills the range. And then the last thing, it's kind of like the same thing, like, so it might not really count as another one, but it's basically to be as gentle on the car as possible. So, you know, like anytime you're in a place and you feel like you don't have to push the car, don't push it. If there's ever a chance to coast, coast. If there's ever a point where you've reached your speed good and you can kind of like pull back a little and still maintain your speed pretty good, do it. Just be real gentle and baby the car, and that's how you're going to go as far as you can. That's like hypermileing. So those are just a few tricks. Luckily I live on a small island and plan pretty good, so I haven't had to really employ these too often, though I've done it a few times just for fun to see how much I can get out of my car. So I have experienced a lot of them firsthand, but not some of them, like following behind the semis, because there's really not a lot of places to do that here. But these tricks will help you to get a little more out of your range and get a little further in case you're in a spot where you misplanned or something. So I hope that helps you out.